Peace. Peace, peace. Shalom, shalom. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. And welcome to another day to labor in the vineyard of the Most High. With your brother. Another day to get in the word. To see what the Most High got to serve. And what we eating on today, a better understanding of some of those that govern the spiritual realm in the lower heavens, the Banai Elohim. So, what you start to see as we go farther along, everything just getting broke down for us more and more, so we get clearer understanding and get away from that basic understanding of the Gentiles. Alright, just like with God or the Most High or the Supreme Being, we had to get opened up to better understand the living God in a new awareness, a new understanding that put us in a different mind frame so that we can grow properly through understanding the living God. You get a better understanding of yourself. Alright, a drop of the living light. Alright, and as with everything else, we're getting more clarification on how it works. Because you can't have dominion and authority while understanding the way things work. Alright, so we just getting more discernment in the spirit and understanding of the home base, the spiritual realm. Alright, so we gonna see who is the Banai Elohim. And it's at the same time gonna help us get a better understanding of the so-called fallen angels. Alright? And how angels can descend and afflict the carnal creation. Alright? And get a better understanding of our brother Lucifer. And how I talk about his fall and the ones that fell with him. Alright? So we're gonna start in the keys, the regular keys, the book of knowledge, the keys of Enoch. I'm gonna start on page 249, key 208, verse 17. The higher race of light, substance, serving the Father. Pause. Alright? The higher race. Because we are the lower race of light. But those on the other side of the veil is the higher race of light. Alright? So the higher race of light, substance, serving the Father, is continually sent out to create and recreate the light in all time cells within the myriad or the multiple or the many universes. For in the greater program, there is no beginning or end. In the lesser dust worlds, the lower heavens, the kingdoms of flesh, there are points of comparative growth and comparative depth. But all of these are brought back to the original blueprint of the over-self creation through super spectrum alignments, through a super spectrum species called the Zohar. They are beings of light who are the incarnation of the Banai Elohim, having the ability to send down their mind bodies, their astral bodies, into time programs so as to put on many physical bodies to manage and direct the wise programs of their instructor, the Elohim Council of Light. Alright, so the Banai Elohim is subservient to the Elohim, they workers. Alright, again, they are beings of light who are the incarnation of the Banai Elohim. having the ability to send down their mind body into time programs so as to put on many physical bodies to manage and direct the wise programs of their instructors, the Elohim, Council of Life. Alright? Let's go to page 250. Verse 34. The Lords of Light will help us understand the consciousness cosmology of the higher thinking intelligence when the degenerate range of the ego has been displaced with the higher endowments of light and love. Meaning you have to get rid of your carnal mind so that the spiritual mind can be awakened and elevated and fed. 36. Yield yourselves up to the Most High and become united with the brotherhoods and acquiring wisdom from the secret works of the Spirit of truth, and become like free brethren in spirit, that you may be like unto the Elohim Lords of Light, and not like slaves and partners of the physical substance of this passing world. Again, yield yourselves up to the Most High and become united with the brotherhood of light and acquiring wisdom from the secret works of the Spirit of truth, and become like free brethren in the spirit, that you may be like unto the Elohim, and not like the slaves of the flesh, the partners of the physical substance of this passing world. Page 371, verse 89. The Banai Elohim worked with the derivative systems of creation, the many systems of creation. They evolved the lesser garments of the Adam Kadmon. And remember the fall into the lesser garments, which is when they fell and their light got condensed into the flesh. They evolved the lesser garments of the Adam Kadmon that are not directly used by the Elohim in the creation of the physical intelligences that serve Yahweh. Alright, let's get a precept. We're going to go to the second light picture superscript. The second light picture superscript. Page 113. Starting at verse 383. The Banai Elohim are the intermediaries in this local universe between consciousness and matter, between spirit and matter. And their job is not only to build new worlds, but principally to create a variety of life forms from the many original divine codes. Alright, remember in the other lesson where we showed how the same way that Adam Kadmon had the ability to create just like the Elohim, so did the Banai Elohim. Alright, had the ability to create intelligences on this world. The Banai Elohim are the intermediaries in this local universe between consciousness and matter. And their job is not only to build new worlds, but principally to create a variety of life forms from the many original divine codes, to inhabit the worlds, to populate the worlds for consciousness life experience. Their creative powers were to build upon the bioenergies to create both energy and genetic patterns that lead to and from the light. Ultimately, each life form is identified with a specific hierarchy so that consciousness life forms may vary. Specifically, as experimental realms are established. And remember, down here, the earth, this is an experimental zone. As experimental realms are established, the Banai Elohim began to master the inner and outer consciousness complexes being shared within the matrix. These complexes continue until all can understand how the complex structures of life can lead to the ladder of consciousness ascension. These complexes continue. These consciousness complexes continue until all can understand how the complex structures of life, and remember at the beginning we said we're getting a more complete understanding of the structure of life on both sides, the physical and the spiritual, and we tying the two together with the spiritual science. All right? So through these consciousness complexes, they continue until all can understand how the complex structures of life can lead to the ladder of consciousness ascension. All right, verse 391. There was an attempt, as described in Genesis 6, by the local Banai Elohim. All right. So now you remember in Genesis 6 when it talk about the sons of God mating with the daughters of men. All right, and we see that their job was to evolve this. It was an experimental realm. All right, so this is opening up our understanding of the fallen angels. All right, they were assigned to God over, Lord over this realm right here, but it's an experimental realm, and their job is to expand creation. But at the same time, due to them expanding creation, they wasn't supposed to mate with men. All right, or women, so to say. All right. There was an attempt. There was an attempt, as described in Genesis 6, by the local Banai Elohim to interbreed with the human race, which was followed by the flood. Here, the fallen gods, the fallen angels, came down to us and tried to corrupt and mix our genetic codes. But the flood returned us to our original codes. All right? And in the sealed book of Moses, it talk about how those were the ones that created certain giants and beings, and why the Most High had the Elohim send the flood to destroy and cover up all that they had did. All right? To hide it from man. All right, and then we talked about in the last lesson when it talked about here to return us to our original codes, because Noah was found righteous in the eyes, his lineage was spared. All right, and Shem, like we talked about, Shem carried the original bloodline, that spiritual bloodline from Seth. It's symbolic because it was other people besides Noah and his sons, but the symbolic aspect of them three sons is the bloodlines, the spiritual bloodline, the mixed bloodline, and the bloodline that the Gentiles descended from. All right. So again, here the fallen gods came down to us and tried to corrupt and mix our genetic codes, but the flood returned us to our original codes. All right. And also that tempered bloodline was where the wicked bloodline, because Nimrod came through the lineage of Ham. And remember we talked about Ham had that mixed bloodline. And in the sealed book of Moses, they talk about how Nimrod was used by the fallen energy to help father their plan. Whereas Shem had the pure bloodline. All right? And Japheth bloodline just had wickedness in it. All right? And it led to them. Well, let's keep going. We ain't gonna get off track. Similar violations do continue on other planets where they mix humanoid image codes with other life forms, including animal forms. And in the sealed portion, it talk about how the other animals on the earth that was similar to Adam and Eve, but their bodies were not like Adam and Eve, was what these fallen entities used to mix with the human race. All right, and that's where you get that mixed bloodline. All right, it talks about it. And those were some of the descendants of Ham. That's why the Gentiles try to tell us Lucy was our ancestor. But Lucy was part of Neanderthal. All right, but in the sealed portion and other books, they talk about how the Neanderthals was used to mix with some of the original seeds. And that's where that mixed bloodline of the Hamites come from. All right, let's keep going. Our planet has been placed within a field of quarantine so as to prevent future cosmetic genetic engineering. Verse 398. Most other genetic life forms had descended upon the planet from various image patterns, arranged in many different ways. First by the Banai Elohim, then by other intelligences. By other intelligences in the sun universe, even to the point of physical genetic manipulation of existing species. And in the Keys of Enoch, it talked about how the Atlanteans was into genetic experiments. All right. We did everything that you see the Gentiles doing now. We did all this stuff long time ago. All right. So this is what they're talking about right here. All right. This is how we created other life forms, and that's why them life forms were sent to punish us. Most other genetic life forms had descended upon the planet from various image patterns, arranged in many different ways. First by the Banai Elohim, then by other intelligences, speaking on us, these Negroes, all right, in the sun universe, even to the point of physical genetic manipulation of existing species. This is generally a violation of the original code, as it tends to block the light-body connection. It tends to block the light-body connection. Alright? And if you study the tribes of the Gentiles, there's a blockage to that light-body connection. Alright? But, hey, that was part of the reason the Most High had to punish us and shut us down. Because we was creating different species and using them for our own benefits. All right? Alright, back to page 371. Alright, verse 90. The Banai Elohim make use of the eye of Horus to create the garments of physical embodiment which these angelic beings of intelligence may choose from when they come into the lower heavens to do the work of the Father. And remember, the Most High say, I created good and evil. Meaning he made the right side and the left side. Because they both were necessary for creation to evolve. Alright, so there's no such thing as our father and these people got a different father. No, the Most High say, I created all y'all. Alright, I created the wicked ones as well as the righteous ones. Because they all got a place within creation. Alright. Thus, the Banai Elohim consolidate the work of the Elohim. They choose the selected seed, and they're speaking on the righteous Banai Elohim. Thus, the Banai Elohim consolidate the work of the Elohim. They choose the selected seed, which is transplanted from imperfect creation to the level of divine spirits. Alright? Meaning they choose the seeds that are to be upgraded. Hence, they enlarge the spiritual gene pool for the eventual pairing of divine radiations into new species creation. Alright, so they choose who they're able to get through to upgrade. Page 461, verse 71. In circumstances of limited reception, in circumstances of limited spiritual reception, which account for 9/10 of the physical universes, divine intermediaries, middlemen, known as the Banai Elohim, are required to use the Eye of Horus, creative power, to establish a particular form of evolution within the divine program. Alright, and remember in the lessons we did on the Eye of Horus, that's what is a special energy that they place around the mind's eye for them to connect with the chosen seeds. Alright? And remember, we showed the verses that show how nobody can open their own pineal gland or their own third eye. Nah. Alright? It's from on high. They choose who they can connect with. Alright? And that's why our job is just to purify ourselves and to be more righteous than we were in our former state, so that we may be elevated. Alright? And that's why the pretenders can talk all they want to about they didn't open their third eye and all this other stuff, but look at the works of the Spirit. Listen to the Spirit. Know the Spirit by the Spirit, and you will be able to see. Alright? In circumstances of limited spiritual reception, which account for 9/10 of the physical universes, the divine intermediaries, known as the Banai Elohim, are required to use the Eye of Horus's creative power to establish a particular form of evolution within the divine program. However, even here, the work of the divine blueprint is limited, and the masters must incarnate, like Moses, to reveal the divine universal law and the divine commandments. Go back to verse 61, page 460. The 10 Commandments allow for the composure and peace among the orders of divine creation. All right? And this is why Yahshua said, if you can't listen to Moses, it's no way that you can follow me. All right? It's an order here. Moses was sent first for a reason. All right? You got to be able to guard over your flesh and control your flesh before you can elevate in the spirit. And that's what the 10 Commandments was for, controlling your flesh. The 10 Commandments allow for the composure and peace among the orders of divine creation, so that we can approach the light. They assure that the family of intelligence, unified by divine teachings, has the prerogative to continue as a family of light for eons in the infinite way of love. In our reality structure, they are coded within everyone. The 10 Commandments are coded within you, but their verisimilitude to the divine thought forms has to be reawakened. They have to be reawakened. That knowledge has to be reawakened within you. All right? Because the matrix puts it to sleep, and the Babylon system plays off it and use it to their benefit, that you lack governance of your flesh, self-control. All right? You cannot elevate spiritually if you cannot control your flesh. All right? So verse 72 again. However, even here in the lower heavens, the work of the divine blueprint is limited, and the masters must incarnate like Moses to reveal the divine universal law and the divine commandments. The Banai Elohim perform the individual functions which the collective mind chooses not to work with for the generation of individual forms of physical creation. The Banai Elohim must project their thought forms into the individual fields to see if it is possible to connect a divine image with the free-floating life experience, which is either spontaneous in origin and therefore without a divine grid, or limited to imperfect creation, which carries a damaged or defective light shell from imperfect divine masters. All right, and all that's saying is what we read, what we talked about a few minutes ago, about how they seek, like we read where it say they choose the selected seeds. They send out their thought forms to see which spirit can resonate with it, and those are the ones that they can take on high. They can take higher. That's why it's important. All the books talk about learning to work with the Spirit. All right, not running away the Holy Spirit, learning to listen to the Spirit. All right, because as you learn to listen to the voice of the Spirit within, then you'll be able to more clearly to hear the voice or the whisperings of the other entities that are trying to work with you. All right, because remember, our original language is telepathy. All right, it's spirit to spirit communication. It's not verbal. All right, so they speak to us on the inside within that Deca Delta system that we read about. All right, the mind, the brain is a system that they created to connect to the other realm. Remember, in the last lessons we read where dimensions are separated by consciousness. Your consciousness is the way for you to navigate through different realms and different dimensions. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep eating. Page 511, verse 20. The Elohim transfer the divine image into proper seed forms of the Shekinah creation, which are reprogrammed, and regenerated by the eye of Horus placed upon the face of the elect, who are the brotherhood of man. All right? So the Elohim transferred the divine image into proper seed forms of the Shekinah creation, which are reprogrammed or recoded and regenerated or renewed in their mind by the eye of Horus placed upon the face, meaning placed upon your mind's eye, the mind's eye of the elect, who are the brotherhood in the flesh. 21. These are always few. These are always few, which is why the scriptures told us it's only going to be a remnant in the end. Because these who actually get their mind's eye open by the higher entities placing that eye of Horus upon that energy field around their mind's eye to activate it are few. These are always few upon the earth, which is a training station for soul advancement. Therefore, it is necessary that soul advancement proceed primarily through the over-self spiritual body. Ultimately, it is the over-self body. Remember the lesson we did on that our higher self, the multi-dimensions of our being. Ultimately, it is the over-self body in conjunction with the Banai Elohim, which use the eye of Horus to evolve the perceptual membrane of man. The third eye is not the same as the eye of Horus. The eye of Horus is the eye of the Lords of light, serving the living Father of creation. which is placed upon the third eye region of the elect. Therefore, this alignment of the divine eyes through the overself and the overself with the physical creation permits you to acquire the wisdom of the Elohim and to work within the complete network of a divine hierarchy. With this alignment, spiritual gifts are poured out upon the brotherhoods of man, for they operate as the brotherhoods of light in the physical form. Now you have it, the children of light. This is the basic formation of Zion. With this alignment, spiritual gifts are poured out upon the brotherhoods of man, for they operate as the brotherhood of light in physical form. All right. That's why you can't self-elect yourself. You got to get chosen from on high. All right. And that's what it speaks about in Revelation when it's talking about the angels sealing the foreheads of the saints. All right. It's not everybody. And it's not the wicked Negroes that be talking crazy that just self-appointed themselves and to think that they then got sealed. All right. Because of their self-righteousness. Nah. Let's go to the first light picture superscript. The first light picture superscript. Alright. These books also on the site that we get the keys from for cheap. Oh man. I just lost one of them. Alright. We're gonna start on page 47. Ultimately, the universe with all its dimensions are a holistic network. Ultimately, the universe with all its dimensions are a holistic network. And what we see as concretized particles are really wave fields that extend into other dimensions. And these other dimensions can link with our dimension, equaling 4D as needed. This allows the universe of ideas. This allows the universe of ideas, namely the Father universe, to connect with the universe of the Matrix. All right. So the Father universe connects with the Shekinah universe, the Father universe, the Mother universe. This allows the universe of ideas, namely the Father universe, to connect with the universe of the Matrix, the Shekinah universe, and together they emanate the Sun universe, the universe that contains light matter, meaning spiritual and physical manifestations, which request the Father and Shekinah to manifest ongoing light, life, consciousness forms. All right. So you need the Father universe, which is the Elohim, the Banai Elohim, the brotherhoods on the other side of the veil, and the Shekinah, the Holy Spirit, and the spirits within creation to manifest ongoing light, life, consciousness, meaning ascended consciousness forms. Consciousness extends throughout multiple realms, and at its highest level works through parent realities reflected into various Banai Elohim and sons and daughters of light. Here we have the imprints of the divine thoughts into new realms, designed for the ongoing expansion of the thought forms of light, entering energy fields of similitude, energy fields of likeness with the original source of light. All right. So again, here we have the imprints of the divine thoughts. How we just read, how they code the ones of us in the flesh to pull us up higher. That's what it means where it says the imprinting of the divine thoughts into new realms, the lower heavens, designed for the ongoing expansion of the thought forms of light, the children of light, that enter energy fields of similitude, meaning the likeness, with the original source of light. Alright. Next, we're going to go to verse 118. The greatest gift of the divine in each realm of creation, in addition to love and wisdom, is to provide for ultimate freedom. Freedom is given at the first moment of manifestation to all life, all creative powers, from those within the realms of thermodynamics and the singularities of creation, to the Banai Elohim, who unfold creation in multiple life spaces, including those beyond the material realms, are given freedom of experience. All right, so angels do have free will. All right, they don't have to do what they were sent to do. The sun universes are experimental realms. They are offshoots of the divine thought forms, although directly connected to the light, as everything stems from divine creation. Yet, there is free will in creating new patterns of life in the infinite way, and in exploring novel ways of evolution. This is why they could do what they did in Genesis 6. Alright? They got a choice. They can mate with the daughters of men, or they can upgrade them through their spiritual consciousness the way that they were supposed to. The governing hierarchies themselves, although existing in higher states of non-material form, are assigned to take on any form as needed in their levels of guidance and management. Let's get a precept. Let's go back to the second light picture superscript. All right, back to the second light picture superscript. All right. Alright, and that's why I was saying, like in verse 391, where we read that there was an attempt, as described in Genesis 6, by the local Banai Elohim to interbreed with the human race, which was followed by the flood. Alright, so they had the ability. Alright, so let's read verse 121 again. The governing hierarchies themselves, although existing in higher states of spiritual form, are assigned to take on any form as needed in their levels of guidance and management. The hierarchies are hierarchies as they manage the information fields. All right, like on the movie The Eternals, it showed us also. The hierarchies manage the information fields and maintain those fields regardless of variations that may arise in the expansion of existence. All forms and fields are to be maintained for matching revolutions. All right? For matching revolutions. Meaning, all right, as above, so below. Eventually, they have to match. Verse 352. It was only after the fall into a limit garden of zones of testing and various life worlds that particular programs were generated to break through the blockages in order to create and maintain perfect realms of divine consciousness. Let's go back to the second light superscript, verse 184. We were given the ability to experience most of the trees of creation, as our light consciousness force was designed as a supervisory intelligence. But we were asked not to enter certain experimental realms of the Banai Elohim. Alright? So remember, we showed how the Adam Kadmon was sent to govern. Alright? Verse 522 in this same book. The role of Adam and Eve in the midst of the garden was to manage the chaos and separation in the local experimental realm. So there remains the possibility that the fall was a fall into lower consciousness realms as an enigmatic attempt to upgrade the consciousness energy in these local realms. Alright? The Elohim and the Banai Elohim were supervising from the other side of the veil. The Adam Kadmon, the children of light, was manifested on the side of the veil that we were on to govern the lower heavens on this side. Alright? But the Adam Kadmon fell just like some of the Banai Elohim fell. Alright? And went down into that lower consciousness. Alright? And that's what it means when it say right here, we were asked not to enter certain experimental realms of the Banai Elohim. The work of the Banai Elohim is to create myriad life forms from the divine thought forms within the Logos realm of creation. Some are designed in accordance with the thought forms of the Father, but some are more experimental and difficult to manage or anticipate. As free will exists, also the creative powers in each sun universe. Alright? So the Adam Kadmon, remember in the keys, when they talk about the fallen masters intercepted the intelligence of the Adam Kadmon. Alright? And that's the war between the darkness and the light in the heavens. Alright? The sons of light and the sons of darkness in the heavens. Alright? The sons of darkness intercepted the Adam Kadmon in the lower heavens down here. Alright? And they altered the program. Alright? And that's how the sealed portion when they talk about Satan using the other beings, the Neanderthals that was already here, to tempt Eve, which is symbolic for the female Adam Kadmons that was sent, to get them into that lower frequency. And through them, he pulled the male Adam Kadmon down into that lower frequency. Alright, until they both lost their light vibration. Alright? So that's more clear understanding of what occurred with the fall. Alright? Let's keep eating. Let's keep eating. It's going to make more sense. Verse 195. Verse 193. Forms like us are the third type of life creation from the Elohim of the Father universe, being created to experience the greater domains of the Sun universe as a supervising intelligence of life empowerment, having a Trinity balance directly within us. The Trinity balance is the connection with the Father universe and the connection with the Shekinah universe, being on the Sun universe. That's the Trinity right there. We on the Sun universe, but we lost, when we fell into that fallen consciousness, we lost our connection with the Elohim and the Banai Elohim that was in the heavenly or spiritual realm. Alright, and we also lost contact with the spirit within. Alright. So it says, forms like us, the Adam Kadmon, or the third type of life creation from the Elohim of the Father universe, the higher universe, being created to experience the greater domains. The greater domains, the Adam Kadmon, was created to experience the greater domains of the Sun universe as a supervising intelligence of life empowerment, having a Trinity balance directly within it. When Adam and Eve chose to eat of the realm of good and evil, or duality, All right, and this is what we talked about when the fallen masters tempted them through sexual urges. All right, and that's what it's eating of that forbidden fruit. Of the realm of good and evil or duality, a portion of the Adamic creative element took on a material body, and realms not designed for the Adamic consciousness experience. All right, and remember in the book, The Return of the Children of Light, it talked about how children of light, some of them dwelt amongst the beings in Lemuria. All of them hadn't ate of their fruit at that time. There were certain ones that still were free in the light. The same way in Atlantis, when Thoth talk about in the Emerald Tablets, how they dealt with the children of light in Atlantis. All right, and so that lines up with what it's saying right here. A portion of the Adamic creative element took on a material body, and realms not designed for the Adamic consciousness experience. Consequently, since our ancestors chose to experience one of these trees, that is, to fall into this reality, we became exposed to a tree of experimental creation, organized by certain Banai Elohim who were doing their own experiments. All right, meaning we fell into the time of probation of this planet. All right. The B'nai Elohim and the Elohim, they're not going through probation. All right, the Adam Kadmons that fell into that lower consciousness now got locked into the zodiac. So now they're in a time of probation. Because like we're seeing in multiple verses that this earth only had a certain amount of time before it was to be transformed. That's why those that don't make it out that zodiac or that cycle of birth, death, and rebirth over and over and over again, constantly reincarnating, nah, you're going to have to go through that cycle as a fallen god again on another one of these testing stations. Our choice to experience this realm of duality provided a structure of creation unsuitable to maintain the consciousness links on all levels of life creation. Meaning, we wasn't able to keep the consciousness linked to the higher self. Because the emanation from the Adam Kadmon was not designed to enter this creation. In doing so, not only was the light body lost, but a disconnection occurred from the similitude. A disconnection occurred from the light. Alright? Back to the first light superscript. Verse 353. One can ask, why did God create imperfect creations? The answer is, our consciousness realm, for the most part, is generated in this sun universe by the Banai Elohim, who themselves have free will to evolve consciousness as they so design to evolve into oneness. It is not the God of gods who designed the consciousness limitations that we are experiencing. Testing realms are designed to allow the Banai Elohim and the Banai Or as cosmic scientists and engineers to establish the consciousness light within the light life zones. Most souls entering the spectrum of experience are part of the Banai Elohim. Again, most souls entering the spectrum of experience are part of the Banai Elohim and the Banai Or organization, who are given free will and do not always maintain the highest original connection to the light. Therefore, these experimental reasons experience the rest and strife. Alright, that gives a better explaining of the fallen angels down here in this realm, and the ones that fell and went through their time of probation down here, like us. Alright, verse 375. Our destiny is no longer to be limited to any one singular experimental zone of life. Literally, When we have been touched by the pillar of light, we begin to experience multiple realms of the infinite light unto all levels of non-locality, and ultimately create new environments for the helical trees of creation that are coming into full bloom. Inner thought forms of higher consciousness take us beyond simple material incarnations. These thought forms are present always to assist in the movement back into the living light. The forces that oppose the emancipation or liberation of soul bondage are overlord hierarchies of authoritarian forces or local administrations that present themselves as hierarchies of the heavens and the earth. This is why Paul said, we fight not against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers. Principalities and powers. That's what these overlord hierarchies are. Principalities and powers. They are gods with a small g, or Banai Elohim, working through their heavenly and earthly representatives, a few of which have focused only on their own programs of creation, seeking separation and not oneness. Even for the Banai Elohim, life is a sequence of various self-realizations. Even for those in the spiritual realm, even for the Banai Elohim, life is a sequence of various self-realizations, many of which stem from the emanations of light and Christed over self-empowerments. The greater plan of cosmogenesis is the generation of a light body, as demonstrated by Yahshua the Christ, that is strongly and positively empowered in the energy field of divine light to stand outside space and time and become aware of the unity of the all. 380. The light body is inherent in each of us, but is activated within those who wish to awaken humanity and move towards a greater plan of light creation. And those are the star seeds, and like we read before, the reason for the program of Israel. All right? To reawaken the star seeds to the light within. So all those that came with us down here with their Adam Cadman light body can go back. Those that chose to be chosen by purifying themselves in the flesh from all their lust and vices and habits, all right, and slowly starting to awaken to the truth of reality, all right, can go back to the light from whence we came. All right. So hopefully through this lesson right here, we got a better understanding of the fallen angels, the fall of the Cadman, our light body that's trapped within, all right, and how we not alone down here. We got ones that can help elevate us, even though we gotta help ourselves first before they can help us. And while we gotta follow and stick to the law of purification of the flesh, so that we can elevate and ascend in the spirit. Alright? It's a process. Like it said with the Banai Elohim. It's levels of self-realization. And as you walk through the different levels, alright, your consciousness started to adjust. And your spirit will start to guide you and tell you, you don't need to be doing this, you don't need to be saying that, you don't need to be keep doing this. Alright? And you can fall. You can go back to doing certain things, but don't get stuck in what you was doing. Come back to the light and keep on growing. Alright? We fall down, but we get up. Alright, peace.